This is Mr. Impact Wrestling himself, Moose, and you're listening to the Irish Whip.
Hookers? Hookers and Coke?
Hookers and Coke, man.
You're the only pro wrestler I know that wants to do this shit in the morning.
Yeti, you're a f***ing moron.
Put it this way, I think Sami Callihan might as well just change his name to Invader
I
One.
want to know why. Like, he can dodge any question. Like, I'll tell anyone that. You can tell me but I'm going to ask specific questions.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
WrestlingNewsSource.com. All the rest of you yahoos are out there dilly-dillying you little wankers. We're actually receiving real wrestling news.
This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Hold two! Arm bar!
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule.
Yeah, they do.
What's up, TIW Mafia? JP here, and I'm here with former WWE talent, current standout on the independents, formerly Antonio the Promise Thomas of the Heartthrobs and All Over Independence. Now you can see him on Beyond Wrestling once wrestling gets back up and running as Thomas Santell. Thomas, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, JP. Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, anytime, man. You've supported us longer than anyone else in the wrestling business, I think. And I remember appreciate that.
I don't know, what did we do, something back in like 06 or 07?
05, 06, yeah.
Yeah, way back.
when you first came out of WWE, I think we were your first one. 2006,
yeah.
Yeah, so now you kind of because you started wrestling in what, 04, 03, 04, something like that?
Yeah, 2001.
Okay. So you were only wrestling, you were pretty new to wrestling when you got signed.
Yeah, I mean, only really 2 years in of working, independence and whatnot. So, yeah, I was really super green and super new still at that point.
Do you feel like, you came out and you stayed Antonio Thomas for a long time, and then you kind of came out in the past 2 years or so as Thomas Santell. And it seems like, at least on the independents, like you're almost more of a fan favorite now than you were before.
Oh, totally. Because I think, it took me like 15 years to feel comfortable with a character or a persona. I shouldn't really say that, just to feel comfortable in the ring. So it took doing the Santell persona to get that, and I just think people can relate to it. They like it. It's different. Reminds them of George McFly from Back to the Future. Yes. So they can relate to that, and it's kind of goofy and lovable. But when the bell rings, they can see I can bring a lot between the ropes, and so I think they pull for me, they root for me in that way.
You've always been like one of the best technical wrestlers around, in my opinion, and to have it in this nerd character, and nerd's not a derogatory term, so I'm not. No. Yeah. But that's really what the character is.
Yeah. No, it fits perfectly because it's a mat-based, grappling-based style that, with a modern twist on it that can, I guess it's different. I don't, I'm not out there doing what everyone else is doing. So,
right.
And I try not to. And there's matches where you sometimes fall into that trap, and it's like, this just sucks. Or you just kind of know going in, it's
very character based too, along with your technical skills. And there's not a lot of character based wrestlers out there right now.
Yeah, I mean it's well, I mean it took me took me almost 15 years to feel comfortable in a character or a persona, because when I was just Antonio the Promised Thomas, it's just always, for me, it just sucked for me because it just felt like I was just myself walking through the curtain. I couldn't portray an extension of myself, or it was very hard to separate the Antonio Thomas from myself, and it sucked. It was fine in the ring, but there's so many great people that are just good in the ring, and I just think, it's having that. You look at everyone that's standing out today. They bring something different, and you have to, especially nowadays.
What's cool to me is I'm not a fan of I'm a fan of like the technical wrestling, and I'm a fan of the characters. I'm not a fan of like the ha comedy stuff, and I'm not a fan of the deathmatch hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
But you had a match in particular that I'm at Beyond Wrestling with Orange Cassidy. And it was sort of the Ovaltine versus the Orange Juice.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of comedy stuff, but it was a great match.
Well, it was I wanted to do something different. I wanted to, again, there was character stuff at the beginning, obviously playing into him, but if you go back and and watch the match, the fans are kind of confused because I played the aggressor, and I'm like, I'm not going to fall for your tactics. I'm going to I'm going to put your glasses on and act like I'm you, but then I'm going to take a cheap shot and try to really kick you or try to really punch you, but then he outsmarts me. So we kind of did that the whole match, and the fans are a little confused, but you got to try things different. You could. He's awesome. He's amazing in the ring. Yeah. He's so, people, he's very polarizing. You either like him or you don't, but as a worker in the ring, he can go, and he's so smooth and safe. And I would work with him, 8 days a week.
He really can. And one thing I take pride in here is never taking the fourth wall down. But I almost can't wait until people realize who he was. The people who are hating on him, until they realize who he was.
Yeah.
Like the other character, because then they're going to be like, oh man, everything that they've said, they're going to have foot and mouth disease. And I just, as much as I don't want to see that, I kind of want to see that.
Well, and that's, I get that a lot, where people are like, oh my God, you were one of the heartthrobs, or oh my God, this was you. I can't believe it. You're totally different, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's always what I shouldn't say that's what I was going for, but just when you completely reinvent yourself and you want to move on and be remembered as this, that's kind of, I guess that's one of the best compliments you can receive, is that you made people forget about your previous, incarnation, or not forget about it, but have them not realize, oh, this is you. It's like watching a movie or something, and an actor, and you're like, oh my God, that's so and so. I didn't recognize them, or wow, they've changed, or they have this great makeup on, or took on this different persona. It's like, wow, that's
and that's, I mean, me and you, like you said, we go back to 2006, and I've never known you as a nerd. Like, period, hands down.
Right.
Well,
I mean, I'm just goofy and childish. Yeah, I mean, I'm goofy and childish in real life, so it's, it was always hard for me to, when you first start out, you want to be serious and you want to act like a badass, and then if you're a heel, like, everyone wants to be a heel, and then, you gotta be able to do everything, and it's just the Santell character is just more of a natural extension of me, and it allows me to show some of my real personality, and some of what all of what I really like to do in the ring, work wise.
No, you also you were in King of Trios with Chikara this year, and I'm a huge Chikara fan.
Yeah,
and we actually had Chris Statler. How Nerded Death Chris come about?
Mike Quackenbush, who, I had so many great things to say about. Had the chance to work with him late last year, and it was just talk about
that
a
was a
different
great match.
Yeah, we worked a knuckle lock for like 8 minutes, and we made it. I hope to think we made it interesting. So, but I've worked for Mike probably since about on and off since like 2012, and he had never done King of Trios, and he reached out to me and asking about myself and Gage, and he was asking, who would be a good third, and I honestly didn't know how you could do, how you could fit it in with Nerd or Death something. And then he came out with Statlander, and it was perfect, and it was really fun. The match was where the main event of night one in King of Trios, and it was different against Team Pump, but that was a match that was fun because the characters involved. You had Scott Steiner, Jordan Grace, P.D. Williams, and you had me, you had Nick Gage, you had Chris Statlander. There was a little bit of everything, and it was very fun.
Yeah, it looked like you and Petey even did a thing with the glasses, if I remember right.
Yeah, we did, and that that was not that was kind of just on the fly. Just yeah, and
no,
so it was good.
Can I tell you something interesting about yourself that you may know, but it has to be true because it's on the internet?
Oh, okay, sure.
So I did some research, because I've known you for so long. I wanted to find something that I didn't know. You know what I mean? Something that I hadn't seen of yours, and I go on Wikipedia, and this goes way back. In early 2003, Thomas began training with Rick Harrison and began working for Bradley's Wrestling Federation of America, WFA promotion.
I don't know. Yeah, I've heard this before.
Do you know who Rick Harrison is?
I have no idea. I don't look. I'm. And
it's linked on the Wikipedia. Have you ever watched the show Pawn Stars on the History Channel?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Rick Harrison is the guy that owns that pawn shop.
Yeah.
And, it's actually linked in there. So somebody did that intentionally. I thought that was funny as hell last night when I read that.
Somebody also put at one time I was trained by Steven the Turtle Weiner, which I love Steven. I think he's great, but I was not trained by him. But I'm not one of these people that goes and does my own Wikipedia page as evidenced by, if you go to it, I don't even know what's on there now. I don't know how it's changed since Santell, but I would have coworkers and students throughout the years bring it up and blah blah blah, and I'd always be like, that's like, it's horrible. That's not true. There's like a third of or a tenth of the information that should be on there. I'm like, so it's needless to say that's not true.
Yeah, no, I knew that when I read it.
I did, however, visit the Pawn Stars store in Vegas probably 4 years ago, and I was very bored, very underwhelmed. It's very small.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you didn't see your old friend Rick there?
I did not. I did not see any of the regulars.
Oh, I heard that from what I understand, they're not in there too often.
No. I don't watch. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge, I'm not a huge TV guy aside from sports, which, but,
sports.
No, I like the Food Network. I love diners, drive-ins, and dives. I like Guys Grocery Games. Curb Your Enthusiasm, Seinfeld. But other than, I don't really watching Tiger King now on Netflix. So
I just started that yesterday.
Yeah,
he was tied into pro wrestling.
Was he? He had to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was a commentator in the Oklahoma territory. Not too long ago. Like, he was tied into NWA Texacoma and
Oh,
a
well,
couple
yeah.
other companies down there.
If doesn't get any more, I've only watched 2 episodes, but so far it doesn't get any more carny than
Right.
that. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, how are you, because there's no sports right now, obviously, with what we're going through. How are you taking up your time? Because I know you're like a huge baseball guy.
yeah, baseball, NBA, NFL. I'd probably put the NFL third, though. But yeah, there's no sports. There's no fantasy sports. I'm good. I'm pretty busy. I am able to fill my time with doing my own podcast where I talk sports with other workers, which is it's called Left My Wallet. It's on the Wrestling Observer site, WrestlingObserver.com. You can go there. And I've been doing, I think I've done 8 or 9 in the last week and a half, and have a couple yet to post on there, trying to put up positive stuff every day. I doing work from home, which is, health and teaching stuff from home, and also helping people out with nutrition and fitness questions they might have. You can, at my Twitter at Promise Thomas or Retro Grappler, or if you email Retro Grappler 23, trying to, help people out from home during this time. There's no charge whatsoever because money is tighter than ever. So I just want to help people out with their workouts, with nutrition, with turning those, those cans of bland food that they have in their cabinets that they haven't used for a while, turning that stuff into really good food with some creative ideas and good tasting food that with some ideas and stuff like that. So I'm doing that, working out, a couple times a week. There's no gyms are open, so I do most of my training at the martial arts gym I go to. So there's no rolling, there's no grappling, but I hit mitts and pads a couple times a week outside. I do try to do some shadow boxing every day, but by shadow boxing I mean doing between 7 or 10 rounds of different combinations mixed in with some body weight stuff. Do some DDPY. I do that. I'm a big proponent of that. I do that pretty much every day, and feel great with it. And so I mean, I'm busy. I'm not one of these people that's like bored to death or that's run through, 30 different, different TV shows, because I'm not a big TV, I'm not a big TV watcher. I try not to scroll through Twitter. I'm not a big social media guy. But I am going to get up an Instagram account for my, non-wrestling related, just for my, my nutrition and workout stuff. So by the time this is up, it'll probably be up because I'm going to get it up, and you could find at Tom Matera, just search that in, and you'll find me on there. But I'll let you know once it gets up.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and we'll share it. And I'm not good at Instagram. I'm getting good at Twitter. I think I'm too old.
I'm just, I posted something back. Yeah, I'd post stuff back before American Rana in July, but up until recently, I hadn't posted anything since then because I would be typing stuff in hashtags and whatnot, and before I know it, 10-15 minutes is gone, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that hashtag, I forgot this, and blah blah blah. And it's like, for me, that's just not, I don't know, it's not optimal use of my time.
And I don't take a lot of pictures, so like Twitter's.
Yeah.
But I got yelled at. I think we had Shayna Baszler on, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to look you guys up on Instagram now." And she like called us out on the air. It was like, "You guys have 0 posts on your Instagram."
Yeah. No, I mean it's something you have to do, and a lot of people look through Instagram. It depends what kind of target audience you are. You're relating to. So right. I mean, wrestling, it's going to be a big deal. My gym, they're posting a workout, a technique video or two every day. So that's important. I don't like filming stuff if it's not a promo or if it's not wrestling related. So, I got to start filming little quick snippets. I got to start doing little exercise demonstrations and stuff like that. And it's, I don't want to say it's getting out of your comfort zone, but I've always
with the workout stuff too. You can always go live on Instagram now.
Yeah.
I see some people doing that just specifically for the fitness stuff.
Yeah. And, so many people have stuff out there, and, I'm starting to set stuff up with classes with students of mine where, I can have them, we can all meet on Zoom and do a workout, with teachers or with students. And that's another thing that, I do just me personally, not Thomas Santell, not Antonio Thomas, is teaching and training and coaching. So that is another facet where, if you're looking to get your health and your well-being and your nutrition and your workouts, looking to clean that up and improve it and pinpoint things that will work for you. Live workouts on Zoom, talking, calling, Skype calls. We're finding out now that you can do so much from home, and that is one of the things. So if I can help people out, this is real life. If I can help people out in that way, I want to do that. So, when this airs, eventually within these next 2 days, that Instagram at Tom Matera will be up, and there might be a little deviation. It might be at Tom Matera something fitness or whatever, but just search that and you'll find the real me on there for any advice you need on your health and well-being.
And you can look at our Twitter at 3 Irish Boys, because once that goes up, we will post that without a doubt, because great. I'm going to use your services, but I don't want it for free. Like, is there a way? Well, is that something that you would eventually be able to charge for? And give, because I feel like when you charge, you're going to give a little more detail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have some specific issues.
Yeah. And absolutely. That would be, that's the ultimate goal, is to do, I like teaching, but there's nothing like working out with someone in person and training them, but sometimes some people have 50 clients, 100 clients, and I'm very hands-on. And if you can relate to people online and in a virtual platform like we're doing now, or by Skype or Zoom or FaceTime, I want to be able to do that. And that's something we can definitely talk about.
Yeah, because
in the
you
future.
Saw me at my heaviest.
Yeah,
and I think you saw me when I lost some weight too.
I did. Well, I saw you at the Legends of the Ring last year, correct?
Yeah,
that was the last time.
The Fan Fest, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've put some weight back on, and I have a bad lower back. I got a degenerative disc disorder, they call it.
Yeah.
And I want to lose the weight again, but I know I can't do certain things.
Right.
And
the thing is, it's not about being able to do. There's so many ways to move, and it's more about movement strategies and movement concepts rather than workouts, lifting, doing this, doing that. It's movements that will translate to, your whole life. So, I don't press heavy weights over my head anymore. I don't, because, and am I going to be able to do, to press 150 pounds over my head or 200 pounds over my head when I'm 70, when I'm 80, when I'm 90, hopefully No, no, I don't squat heavy. I never really was a heavy squatter. I used to love to deadlift. Deadlifts were one of my favorite exercises. I don't heavy deadlift anymore, and I just want to, I'm thinking long term. And now that doesn't mean that if you like heavy squatting or heavy deadlifting, that doesn't mean that you don't have to do it. It depends on the person, and it depends upon, everyone's different, and so you got to take that into account. And people are like cars. You've got to look under the hood and see what's wrong before you can prescribe a one size fits all thing. You know what I mean? It's people can have a horrible sciatica or horrible back pain, and just like a car, you might think it's something major, and it could be a $2 sensor light for your
Yes.
for your ignition or your starter, or it could be a small fix like that where it's like, hey, you know what, let's stretch out this let's stretch out your big toe more. You gotta or it could be something bigger where you gotta really look under the hood and really make some changes.
Yeah,
so
and
everyone's different.
You're dead on, and some of the stuff is very fixable with just some exercise. And I think, you're right. Some of it you really do got to get under the hood, but I think it all starts with a little bit of exercise and working out. And the fat guy isn't the one to ask for advice. It's the Thomas Santells, the Tom Materas that are the ones to ask for the advice on that guy. So if you got somebody like that that's willing to give some advice and they're willing to give it for free, please appreciate that and show some support.
Yeah, more complimentary. I remember one a smart trainer that I worked under probably 12 years ago. He used to work with, like he helped train Eddie George, who was a Heisman Trophy winner, all-time great running back.
Yeah.
Guys like that. He was based out in Ohio and worked with a lot of Ohio State athletes. And he'd say, Tom, don't ever use the word free. He goes, I can find a couch on the side of a driveway for free. I can find he goes, use complimentary. It sounds better.
That's great. Yeah.
Samples are free.
Yes.
But
that's what I feel like you should do.
Yeah.
It is a complimentary sample, and then if you want to get the full workout, subscribe, get a Patreon or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a question, and I thought this was a good one. On Twitter from Good Guy Dave at Dave Pozevsky, and he said. And this is like something that's important to me because I've been saying all along, support small businesses. In pro wrestling, independent wrestling, whether it's the wrestler or the promoter, is a small business. And I think some promotions might not be able to come back from this. I hope they all are able to, but it's he asked, when wrestling does come back from all this, how do we begin to show our appreciation to all the independent promotions and wrestlers?
Just continue on go back to normal, I guess.
Buying tickets and T-shirts and watching.
Just do what you were doing. Watch it, buy tickets, buy merch. Just be the great fans that you were, before everything got shut down. And, it's going to take a while, I think, for things to get back to, whatever our new normal will be. But, and I think it's bigger sports where you've got 5,000-10,000 people that's going to be even harder. But, just go back to being a fan. I mean, there are some promotions out there that were making money, off wrestling, but most, been around.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's very hard to break even, and it's all even the top independent promotions are run by people that have other careers, and they're not making a living off of independent wrestling, certainly. So not the wrestlers. There's a lot of workers out there that are losing out on money, and I did it for after WWE. I did it for almost 7 years just on my own, and it's tough, and you gotta hustle. So
and I think independent wrestling got to the point now too where, not like you said, not really the promoters, but I think some of the wrestlers really relied on that. Getting those 3 or 4 bookings in a weekend and getting the paydays as maybe not their full income, but at least a good supplement to it, and they just lost that completely.
Yeah. There's guys out there, guys and girls that are they're hustling, man. They're working, 2, 3, 4 times a week, and it sucks, man. You look at a guy like Anthony Green, who's just God, the love he has for the business is insane, and I applaud him so much. Always hustling, and it's he's doing stuff on social media to do that. So, and I just had him. I had him on my show talking about that and talking about action figures and stuff and whatnot. And so there's a lot of people out there like him, and so when things do normalize, just be the fan you were. And
have you seen the videos him and Ava have been putting out?
I haven't seen all of them. I saw one yesterday about
the collectibles.
Oh God, the action figures. Yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, if you haven't seen the action figure one, you should have Ava on and talk action figures with Ava.
I'll have to go back and look.
And that's the thing is, like, a lot of them, if the independent wrestler Dave is still putting out content and they're still putting out YouTubes, watch them, watch the ads for them, and watch it till the end.
Yeah.
Because every little bit that you watch counts. It might, I don't know how YouTube pays out, because YouTube's another thing I'm just not good at right now.
Yeah.
But watch everything and watch the ads, because they get money for the impressions, and it may only be a penny, but it's an extra penny in their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And, Beyond has a massive YouTube following, and
they're like the second biggest in pro wrestling on YouTube.
Yeah. And,
literally the second.
Yeah.
Including WWE.
Yeah. And that's how guys and girls are getting noticed. Like Bit Music and,
Oni Lorcan, right?
Yeah, Oni Lorcan, yeah. So, yeah, go, just watch some matches. There's some matches of me they have up there from the Discovery Gauntlet that are free on the Beyond YouTube page. And just go. They're always go to Beyond Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram. They're always posting stuff, and Drew is I can't say enough good things about Drew.
Yeah, I've met him a couple of times at, you've seen me at the Beyond shows. I think actually my first Beyond show, was your first Discovery Gauntlet, which was like, I didn't know you were there. And when they announced you, I was like, oh, yes. And then you went on a tear.
Yeah, that was fun. That was maybe the favorite part of the favorite couple months of my career, because it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of stress to put on a different match and kind of live up, try to come up with different matches against different people each week. And, it was like being a comedian, having to come up with a different set every week and in front of the same crowd, because you're in front of the same audience. So you can't do it. I've never been one to settle into a routine. And, even on house shows back in WWE, I was never one. We always wanted to change things up, use what worked, but always try things and try to make things different. So that's why I enjoyed doing those matches, maybe more than any.
No, since you've been Thomas Santell, what do you feel has been like your favorite match so far? Or if it's more than one, if you got to list a couple, go ahead, because I know sometimes it's hard.
Huh. Geez, I don't know. I don't know.
Like one
I
that
might.
sort of defines the character if somebody was going to go look and see who Thomas Santell is.
Maybe against Wheeler Yuta on Halloween for Beyond. I really
Yeah.
like that match because it told a story. It worked a body part. Maybe that would be
I think he was just back from Germany on that too, wasn't he?
I'm not sure, but I love working with. There's another guy that is so good and so smooth, so underrated. Loved working with him.
Flies under the radar the way, but he needs to get noticed.
Yeah, he does absolutely. And that match, the Orange Cassidy match too. I really, was fun. I don't know. Maybe the match against Brad Hollister, just because. I trained him and I would just get a lot of different stuff and just a lot of mat-based stuff, and I really enjoyed that.
I feel like when you wrestle somebody who like you and Brad, I think are pretty good friends. Like I feel like anytime you get two guys that have that connection in there, you're just gonna. I'd say 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have something very special out of that. And I mean, Brad is a hell of a wrestler himself.
He's great, and he's coming. I feel bad for him because he's just coming back now from the torn ACL, and everything shuts down.
Yeah. And he was just starting really a singles run.
Yeah, Northeast Wrestling and beyond. He was really doing well. So, it's another match that I thought like going in, I didn't know what to think of it, and I was like, this could go really bad. It was me and Gage versus Pinky Sanchez and Danhausen. And that I know it was, but it was, the crowd loved it. It came off great. We hit everything. I was so happy about that match. And you look at that and you think, you can draw a bunch of different conclusions about what could happen in that match. But that's where you really got to get creative and really. Those guys were so great to work with. And, I remember thanking them a couple days after. I was just thinking about it. I was like, wow, I really had fun in that match. And it was really just something different. And, so that's another one from the second season of Uncharted Territory.
What was the feeling when you found out you were going to be tagging with Nick Gage? Or was that like you guys coming up with that?
No, that was Drew. It was different because I was like, it worked the way they did it, where, he didn't want to be my partner at first. I saved him, then he saved me. And, just kind of that odd couple pairing that, it was
even you as Antonio Thomas. Like I wouldn't see that,
Right. Yeah, no, because it's just like a guy with Nick Gage, but this way it's like a nerd and then Nick Gage. So it's just kind of complete opposites. It works.
Yep, and it does, and it's incredible. And it's again, I'm not a fan of the deathmatch stuff, but because of that, I've kind of become a Nick Gage fan.
Yeah, but he doesn't just do that,
right? And that's. I don't think you guys have really had a match like that where he's gone hardcore or deathmatch-ish. No. So it really brought out that he can wrestle, that he can do a traditional match.
Absolutely. Go watch him and Jay Freddy had a really fun match from the first season, and go watch that. I was really, that's you'll see there that, he's not Dean Malenko, but I mean, like, who is, but he can. Yeah. He can work. He can work his ass off. So
it's cool, and it's when you bring somebody out of their shell and show something different of them. Like to me, I'll compare him to like old school ECW. it had the reputation of being all hardcore, but yet Chris Benoit came out of there. So many, like, really, Rey Mysterio, so many just really
Jericho,
talented guys that
Mysterio,
weren't hardcore,
Psychosis.
right?
Yeah. Jerry
Came
Lynn,
out of
Lance
there.
Storm.
Like, people forget that Balls Mahoney was a hell of a wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's very much like that, and it's just cool to see the dynamic because he's built, and I mean, Nick Gage kind of earned his reputation.
Yeah, no, he's no nonsense. What you see is what you get, and he's a cool dude, and it's fun to team with him.
Now, where can people find you? I know you said Retro Grappler, and
on Twitter at Retro Grappler, and also on Twitter at Promise Thomas. Again, for the fitness stuff, search Tom Matera on Instagram. And if you want to email me about anything, if you need fitness advice or whatnot, retrograppler23@gmail.com. And also WrestlingObserver.com, F4WOnline.com. Go to Left My Wallet. Hear me talking with a bunch of different workers about sports, and mostly about sports, but sometimes other things. I recently had on, Anthony Green, Nikita Koloff,
Jesus.
Yeah, Alex Coughlin, Stevie Richards. I got a roundtable with Matt Taven coming up, and a baseball talk with Matt Stryker coming up, and more guests to come. So
I would love to come on at some point and talk football with you.
Absolutely.
I don't know a whole hell of a lot about the other traditional sports. I don't watch hockey, but I love NFL, and if you're ever short on a guest, I'm almost always available. So.
Well, no, we'll definitely do something when I have another football episode, maybe around the draft or after the draft.
We can talk about TBXTB.
Yeah.
His new trademark.
Sure.
Oh no, but yeah, it's and you got I couldn't find the name of it, but I go on and I'll listen to it, and because it's different to hear all these I stopped doing this for a while because everybody had a podcast at one point.
Yeah,
but everybody had a wrestling podcast that was in wrestling. You were in wrestling, and you had a sports podcast, so it was completely different.
Yeah, because that two constants in my life have been sports and wrestling, and I just found myself for 15 years always talking sports when it wasn't we weren't talking wrestling. So I'm like, well, I don't want to do a wrestling podcast. Hell no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just do a sports podcast because there's plenty of those, and everybody has a podcast, which it's fine, but I just want something to stand out, and so I'm like, let's do something different, and that's what it is.
And I want to hear Anthony Green talk about sports.
Yeah, he's up to, he doesn't know anything about sports.
Yeah, I know.
That's the first thing. So, but
he certainly knows. He knows more. Like, that kid's funny because he knows more about old school wrestling than I think I do.
Yeah, he knows.
Like,
he brought
my
up
generation.
Yeah, he brought up some show down in North Carolina from 2006 where we worked with Lenny and Lodi, and I'm like, how the fuck did you get that DVD? Why would you, of all the things you could watch now, you're watching that DVD, and he's just literally like a wrestling savant, and he'll bring up stuff from, I don't know, NWA Oklahoma in 2008. So yeah,
I still remember the first time I ever saw you wrestle.
Where's that? Wow.
You WWE.
Yeah.
And it was either New Hampshire or Worcester. And it was you guys versus Tajiri and
Regal?
Yes. And you, I didn't know you.
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
time, obviously.
That was
got
probably
a hell of a black guy out of that.
Oh, that was Boston. Yeah.
Was that Boston?
Yeah.
I know it was a pay-per-view weekend.
No, it was a Sunday night heat after we did Backlash. We did a tag team turmoil gauntlet thing in Backlash in New Hampshire on Sunday. Then the next night we were in Boston for Raw, and we did Heat.
Okay.
And yeah, no, that was something where I collided with they ran me and John together, and not putting my hands up to protect myself. I'm like, oh, I'm in Boston, my family's here, friends are here, so my orbital bone caught his forehead, and so that's
I've seen some good black guys. Like, I grew up in Boston. I grew up in the city.
Yeah.
But that was gnarly enough that I remember.
It was big. It was big. It was like I don't know, what's one of those small little oranges, kumquats or
yes,
tangerine size. Yeah. It was pretty big, but
I remember it was a pay-per-view weekend because I had gone to, and that's why I thought New Hampshire. I had gone to both shows.
Yeah.
So that's but that was and when you got released, and Sheldon was running at the time, and Sheldon was like, "Oh, Antonio's coming back." I was like, "Sweet!" And the first thing I did was I went up, I introduced myself to you, and I said, "I got a internet radio show. Would you come on?" And you were like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
And it's just been since then,
Yeah. No, time. Absolutely.
It's always fun to see you. I always enjoy talking to you. It's because it's a fucking conversation,
Well, that's what it is. That's what my show is, and that's what I want stuff to be. I don't want to say I hate the term interview, but I don't like applying it to me. It's like, hey, let's just talk, and whatever questions or whatever you want to find out, we'll just bring it up in our conversation. So,
that's so, guys. Thomas, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Time-wise.
Instagram, Tom Matera, for fitness and nutrition, health needs or advice. And then, at Retro Grappler on Twitter, and retrograppler23@gmail.com. There's a Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/Promise Thomas, where you can find a bunch of different shirts. I got like 6 or 7 up there. The
Ovaltine Dream.
If you want to help the cause, there's the Ovaltine Dream one up there, and a Ovaltine themed one, and a Back to the Future themed one as well. So, yeah.
And guys, if you want to support the indie wrestlers, go on Pro Wrestling Tees, or I actually always prefer seeing you guys at the shows and buying them off of you guys directly. To me, it's more personal that way. But if you don't get that opportunity, or if you want to support them right now, or you don't want to wait for that, prowrestlingtees.com. Grab one of it. I'm going to probably, when I get this check from the government, my little welfare check we are coming in, I'm going to go on and I'll probably buy the Back to the Future one.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I'm doing fine, during this time. So, most importantly, worry about, your family, your friends, and stay healthy and whatnot. But, if anyone has disposable income or something, and they, not just me, but anyone else, their favorite wrestler, you can go do that. It's very appreciative of it.
Thomas, thank you. I appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, JT.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
When you get those links up, send them off to me, and we'll share them and we'll put them up. We'll link them on all of our stuff for you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm gonna get that Instagram up by today or tomorrow. So
awesome.